down, shut up, and let the men lead. All in the name of God? Well, I have. For 29 years, I lived the reality inside the church. And if you ever felt your voice, your intuition, or even your identity being stripped away from you by religion, you're not alone. Today, we're tearing down the silence and exposing the truth they never wanted us to know. And I know that this is a good day because mostly people say, I'm going to church on Sunday. So I decided to stop by and kind of share this with you because I think you need to hear this. There's some research that shows millions of women worldwide are silenced by religion or cults. The UN reports in many faith-based communities, women are denied leadership roles in 90% of the religious institutions today. Not years ago, but today. In the US, 7 in 10 evangelical women report being told their role is to submit to male authority. That's a Pew Research, all right? Women in restrictive environments report higher rates of depression, low self-esteem, directly tied to suppressed voices. And I want to tell you, this happens a lot because I've even experienced it in my own church, how I could really take the number of women and men and evaluate it or equate it to sickness. I don't think there's anyone that has passed out from my church that has not died from an illness or life-threatening illness. That not someone who just passed away out of old age or in their sleep and quietly. No, I've not seen that, not heard it. And it all comes from suppressed voice, not being able to say what you want to say, not being able to do what you want to do. I had 29 years in church. Coming in as a young person, young and had full of ideas and things I wanted to do and all that great energy, and I was living under man-made rules represented as God's law. Now you remember, or if you follow the Bible and the canons and all of that, right? There was only one set of laws that was given, and they were written by supposed God's hands, right? So what are the other laws that come along the way? Where do they come from? From people's ideas, the era that they're in? Where do they come from? But I digress because I don't want to go to that side yet. But a couple things that they did tell me, a male person, males always gave the direction. They gave the direction what the females should do, and then told either the mother or the senior older person or the first quote unquote first lady to reinforce. And they told us to dress modestly. Well, what does that even mean? Right? What does it mean? Or be branded as Jezebel. So if you were something that revealed maybe your leg, you were a Jezebel. If you even wore lipstick, you were a Jezebel. If you wore earrings, you were a Jezebel. Whatever. Everything was classed as a Jezebel. Oh, hey, Bunny. Thanks for stopping by. So What I'm talking about is religion and church and how women lose their voices. Okay, so the second thing that the male leader said to me was I had to be chaste and submissive. So any of my ideas, get rid of them right now before you even say anything. Because, and I remember I just said I got in church when I was 29 years ago. So I was young. I was young and full of ideas. But any of those ideas, get rid of them because we lead. And the last thing they had was a pecking order, a sitting order. Women had sitting orders. The men could sit in the pew that was maybe 5 to 6 inches above the audience, and that was called the pulpit. And only those that were clean could sit there. So the women couldn't sit there because they weren't clean. They weren't clean. And they added certain times of the month you weren't clean. And only women who don't have that certain time of month can sit there. So you had to wait until you were way older, and then you could sit there, possibly. But then they would give you the role of the mother, right? The mother would be sitting in the audience, but they had seats. They had, this one sat here, that one sat there, and then the deacon sat here. So everybody had their role, right? I believe that women should have, why they give those privileges? And I learned this, Bunny. You know why they have those privileges? And I learned this in my 29 years. So if you have, like me, I was always busty, right? Busty. And if you have cute feet, if it's to keep their lust down. So if they have a feet fetish, they want you to wear whole shoes, don't have your toes out, because that'll that'll give them some kind of feeling, and that keeps their lust under control. So when they see you, they see nothing. And in all of that, they kind of wash all of you out of you. So your arms, your legs, your neck, don't love anything about yourself. It's supposed to be covered up. Yeah, that's what they said to me. And I said one day, I said, that doesn't make any sense. So I said, why can't we wear pants? Oh, well, you can't put one leg in before the other leg. And I said, well, we do that with underwear. And we do that with stocking, right? And the words I received was, what was the words? It was, a pound of this and a pound of that. You have to listen to what I say. I say, oh, is that in the Bible? And I was, I wasn't being facetious, but I was like, that didn't make any sense. So right away, all of that, being chaste and submissive, dressing modestly, or you'll be branded as a Jezebel, sitting behind the man, never besides him, right? You're not equal, you're always in the back. That alone washes your self-esteem. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. So it just makes you feel like that at all times. Now, here's the truth about Jezebel that I learned after all of this. See, she was always used as a weapon in the church, right? She was always being used as a weapon in the church to control the women, but they misused her. The truth is that Jezebel was a Phoenician princess who had political power, who married King Ahab. Okay? Now listen to what I'm saying. She was a Phoenician princess. We were never told that history part. We were just told that she put on red lipstick and she seduced men. But she had political power. Didn't say that either. She challenged Israel's prophets. She challenged them to think. And they didn't want to tell us that. They always said, well, she tried to seduce them and sway them a different way. Now, she didn't seduce them. It said that she challenged. not because she was over-sexualized, but because she wielded influence. Now, what does that sound like if you're a Bible reader? It sounds like when Jesus challenged the Israelites when they were money changing in the church, right? They were money changing in the church. If you follow the Bible, the canon, the Quran, whatever you read, it's all the same. He challenged the church too. So it was just another challenge. She wasn't doing anything that she wasn't supposed to do. She used her power, who she's political, and they said something that maybe she didn't understand, and she challenged it. Hey, I want to know the answer to that. They didn't like that. So of course they weaponized her. And over the time, her name was twisted into a symbol of lust and rebellion, weaponized with us to create shame in us. So wearing red lipstick had nothing to do with it. So all of it was a lie. Every bit of it was a lie, which was scary. Scary for us to be weaponized like that, okay? The real damage of the suppression of our voices is being silenced, and we obtain low self-esteem. We lose our identity. So perfect example is I modeled when I first came into the church, and I didn't stop modeling. I stopped modeling for my own reasons, but it had nothing to do with church. And I modeled. And so I love, of course, you guys know, I love earrings, and I have all types of earrings, and I love lipstick. I love every color lipstick. And so when I came there, they said, oh, no, you can't have that. You can't wear that. You can't do this. I was like, why? What's wrong? And they said, oh, well, they first said it was Jezebel. So after they made me take away my earrings, take away the way I dressed. Now, I didn't dress bad. I was very fashionable, wore, fashionable things. They took they stripped all of that under the name and guise of God, which created low self-esteem in me, right? Because I enjoyed wearing nice clothes, right? So think about, I can't wear what I want and be myself. Brings you to low self-esteem. You're not worthy, right? Another layer of trauma, right? But this is at a higher level because spiritual trauma, religious trauma, is that you put your soul, your whole being on the line for someone you think that could lead you to a better life, a better position, right? You lose your identity. You lose who you are. You no longer are yourself. You no longer are, like, I wasn't Edna. I was the collective. I was no longer Edna. I was the collective of that church. I was the collective. And if I act different or out of that order, I was not part of the collective. So I lost my identity. And then I became dependent upon, every time I wore something, every time I spoke, I had to get validation, make sure it was correct with them. So I was always trying to get validation from the leadership, the congregation, because I was no longer Edna, I was the collective, right? I was the collective. So if they said, oh, I don't like the way this sweater fits you, go home and take it off. First, my feelings are hurt. It's a waste of money. That's what I thought. And then it devalues you as a person. Now, they never do anything on the side. They never pull you to the side and say, hey, this doesn't look good. Maybe you do something different. They do it in front of everybody. So they create a cloak of shame on you. That was a strategy. It was a strategy of control to keep women from thinking, speaking, and rising. Because we can do that. We're the spiritual part of this whole makeup. We have collective powers and we have separate powers. We can bring lives into the world. We have that ability to bring lives into the world, to birth them from the spiritual realm to the physical realm. We bring children. So we're very powerful and we're very needed. Not just for what they say we're needed for, but we're very powerful and we need it. So how do you dig out of this and how do you heal? How did I do it? I'm going to share with you how I did it and how I was able to start to collect myself. Now, mind you, during the 29 years, I heard my spirit saying this is not right. I heard my children saying this isn't good. I heard them, but I overrode it with of course, my ego and my low self-esteem didn't want to hear it. Okay? Didn't want to hear it. Now, when I did finally listen to it, did finally listen to my inner man saying this is not right, this is not the way it's supposed to be, I did. So, what did I do? I named the suppression and I said it out loud, this is not right. Because all the other times I always would say it inside, never say it verbally. I literally had to shout it out. And I had to realize what was stolen from me. My voice, my freedom, my confidence. All those things which make up me were gone, were stolen. Literally, they stole all of it. Now, once you do that, and I believe this, that when you name something, it's just like if you have a condition or disease or, you have a lump in your head, don't know what it is. Once you find out what it is, you can deal with it, right? When you find out what the condition is, or when you realize it, when you say it out loud, when you speak it, when you write it, when you scream it, whatever you have to do, you're giving it now a place where you can now work with it. So I know what that is. So how do you solve not having a voice? By starting little by little, speaking up and speaking out. How do you start getting freedom? Little by little, gaining your steps and your grounding to taking your freedom back, to moving towards your freedom, to say, this is who I am, moving towards that. How do you gain your confidence back? By saying, I am so-and-so. I am Edna, and I like wearing this. And that's what I started doing. This. Hey, I love my earrings. I started wearing them. And then they started asking me questions. And the more I became my confident self, even though there were small steps, they started questioning. And the more that I did it, the more I was able to get out of it, to get out of the religious, the cultish ways, because that's really what it is. It's cultish. It's everyone looks the same. All the women have to wear the same. Men don't have to wear the same. They wear what they want. They do what they want. Separate rules for us. But that's another story. The second thing is to reclaim your story. Your intuition is not rebellion. It's wisdom. I was told not to, when I was told different things and God was speaking to me, or my spirit was speaking out loud and I could hear it, that doesn't happen for me. That's what they mean. No, I'm supposed to tell you what to do. God doesn't speak to you. He speaks to me. He speaks to me, the leader, and didn't speak to me. And I was like, well, how would he tell you? How would I know that something's right if you tell me that it's for me and it doesn't feel right? How do I get he has to tell me because it's for me, not for you. So, and I started asking these questions. I said, well, how do you know what's for whom when you have so many parishioners? Right? And those were the type of questions. So because I was stepping out, reclaiming my life and reclaiming my confidence, I was able to ask the questions that they started getting bewildered with. I was able to start growing on situations like knowing the difference between soul and spirit. And they didn't know that. And then they was like, what's going on here? So they started, questioning what am I doing, who am I with, where am I going, that I'm knowing this stuff. And all it was is I was just sitting down, reading, educating myself. And I was like, well, I'm doing what the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. Study this. If this doesn't agree with you, study it and figure it out. Why doesn't it agree with you and what could agree with you? Study, figure it out. Make sure it's a narrative that reflects for you. And 3, challenge the false narratives. I've challenged every false narrative. The thing with the pants, I challenged that. The thing, the things with we should wear certain things. I said, well, if you go by the Bible, then the Bible said the Israelites only wore cotton and wool. And we're supposed to do that, and we're supposed to buy those type of clothes. We're mixing threads. What are we doing? And when you start to challenge, right? Questions now, start to challenge. I was really becoming Jezebel. I was really becoming in my own political power, in my own power that I was, because she was, again, a Phoenician queen, right? A princess. I'm sorry, Phoenician princess. So she had authority. Jezebel was not about modesty or makeup. It was about that she had controlled talk, and she was not talking about scripture. She didn't go by any of that. It's that she had control. She was able to challenge the narratives that they were giving her, not just accepting and eating it. It's like, so say if somebody give you a sandwich, right? You just go and eat it. That's what religion is. This is what we do. You get this sandwich, and you might be allergic to milk. You have this cheese on it. You might be allergic to everything that's in that sandwich. But blindly, in religion, blindly, we take the sandwich and we start eating it. And then we get all the after effects afterwards. But we still continue to eat that sandwich and go back and back and back and back and get sicker and sicker and sicker until we're in the hospital and we're really sick. Then we can actually, because once we break, it's a different story then, but that's another area. Number 4, we build self-worth daily. Those affirmations saved my life. I just stumbled across Wayne Dwyer. I stumbled across him, and he was doing meditation affirmations, and then I got into 𝗁cie Hayes, and then I was like, oh my gosh, but those really helped me, and I started journaling. I was already journaling a lot as a kid because of my other traumas, but it was great, and then I went back to therapy. Therapy is great. And then there's a buzzword that's out there, spiritual coaching. And spiritual coaching is supposed to show you, right? This is what they say. This is the I guess the consensus is spiritual coaching is supposed to refine your relationship with God, but spiritual coaching has nothing to do with that in real life. Spiritual coaching is about what's good for you. If no matter what it is what are you feeling and where do you think you're going? So if you say, like I'm saying about myself, I feel my energies pulling towards shamanism, you can't say yes or no. So when you put a label like Christian coaching, and you can't do that, because that may not be the route that that person is to go in. Christianity might not be it. They can go to religion to do that. But spiritual coaching is no matter what your spirit says to you that your direction or your purpose should be, it helps you line up to listen to that but listen to the intuition. So spiritual coaching is about intuitional lining up with that energy. So if you say, oh, well, I feel like I'm going towards, maybe studying, I don't know, on Tantra. Okay. Why do you feel like that? And maybe let's build upon that, and let's see if we can build that out and make that, something that you feel comfortable with. Do you feel good? Why do you feel that way? Then sort of build that out, right? Spiritual coaching has nothing to do with Christianity, has nothing to do with any religion. So if you hear that, I said it and I mean it. Spiritual coaching, you cannot coach somebody. All you're doing is preaching. So we don't need any more of that. We need spiritual coaches that tell you to help you or help you guide you and kind of take out those narratives, these type of narratives, the ones I can't do anything, the spirit doesn't talk to me. All those narratives, takes those narratives out so you can hear and be guided by your own intuition, your own spirit, your own guide. 5, community matters. Surround yourself with the voices that validate your growth and not silence it. For years after I was not going to church, I kept stumbling across my old friends that were in the church, and they kept trying to convince me to come back. Come on back, you brought me here. Come on back. And then I had some that still I've been out, I think almost 15 years now, and still they're like, come on back, come on back, come on back. I said, why would I come back when you're miserable? You're miserable trying to fit back into your circle, trying to fit into a square peg. You're miserable. You can't even get it together. You're always asking me how do I do it, but you're not even trying to get out and away from those people. But yes, it's hard because I talked about that the other day, Stockholm syndrome. You have Stockholm syndrome when you come out of religion. You have Stockholm syndrome. You don't know how to stop. You try to stop. It took me literally going somewhere else, like moving to another country to stop me from going to church. That's how bad it was. I had Stockholm syndrome badly. And not until I went to the other country and stayed for a while, literally stayed for like almost 9 months and stayed there for a while, was I able to come back and I could breathe now. I don't see all this stuff. But surround yourself with people that can say to you, hey, you're doing a great job, or validate your growth. See your growth. Talks about your growth. Don't talk about the stuff in the past. Talk about your growth. Oh, you're doing really well, or when you're talking about something and you're saying, you know what I figured out yesterday? Or I had this revelation. Wow, that's really great. So tell me more about that. When you don't surround yourself with people like, but what about when no, listen, I need you to listen about the church. I need you to listen about the Bible, what the Bible says. And I had a friend like that like a couple weeks ago, she wanted to hear how I got out of it, but then she wanted to redirect me back into it. That didn't make any sense, but yeah. So she thought I was wrong. I was like, well, I hope that you get your own revelation. But for now, I'm good where I am. I'm good where I am. And should I be guided anywhere else? I don't need anyone else to help me guide me, because I know the Bible, I think, very well. So much so I had to forget a lot of it. So my last little thing to you is, you were never meant to be silent. You were never meant to be small. And you definitely were not a Jezebel that they wanted you to be. I want you to be the Jezebel who was the Phoenician princess, right? That has the power, had the political power, had the beauty, and had the voice. Okay? So if you're ready to begin healing from religious suppressions and reclaim your self-worth, I created a free PDF that's in the content section of this video. Just go down there, press that button, you get that free PDF to get you started on your way, right? Just click the link in the descriptions and you'll find it. This is why I made this channel Unchurched, so that you can really feel where you need to be, figure out where you need to be. And I want you to like and subscribe to Unchurched, and you'll hear a lot of this, what I'm talking about. You hear my story from the 29 years. You'll get to meet guests who have experienced the same thing in their own words, in their own reflection. You'll hear that. So I hope that you like and subscribe and share with your friends this Unchurched episode and hear your voice rise. See you next time around. Bye for now.